I think we could. I mean, this is basically that without a script. It's like freestyle sitcom if you think about it. It's like an improv show.
You're right. And that's the start of the podcast.
Oh God, I thought we were talking about editing.
No, we'll do that at the end. We'll go through this, then we'll get to that at the end.
Oh God, okay. Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of Patch Notes, the Home Games podcast. I'm Yazeed, and this is Joseph.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
It's good. Well, we were just talking about stuff, and then it's still good. I don't know. How's stuff been going? Home game stuff has been good. I finally actually did some work on that Thursday night, which we'll talk about later. And I've been mostly chilling, watching some television. I've been playing some more Max Payne 3, like I mentioned last week, I think, or the week before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been real busy still, I guess, with my life, but not as bad as last week. And stuff has just been kind of cruising. And yeah, very excited to not edit this podcast, by the way.
Yes, so this one's being recorded on February 8th, 2020, and
man.
it'll be released on the 11th or 12th.
It will be released, what's today? The Saturday? 9,
Yeah.
10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
Then Valentine's is the 14th, so that's a Friday.
Flexing on me over here?
No,
Valentine's Day, huh?
I'm the date master, and even though I just forgot to mention the date before, and you had to do that, I do know that February 14th is Valentine's Day.
What was the best Valentine's Day gift you ever got?
Oh man,
That you can say on the air. Wink.
I don't have a good, and I don't remember because Valentine's and our anniversary are very close to each other, so I don't remember which gift was for what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't come up with one of them on the spot.
Okay.
Generally, they're like dinners and that kind of stuff. So it's more of like experiences and stuff, and not really actual gifts. Like we'll just go to fancy places, like places we don't normally go. There's one place in Tucson that we went, I remember, and it was, I think, maybe my favorite one of those, but it was not Synovia giving me a gift. Anyway, it was my favorite Valentine's thing, and we were like, I think 17 or 18, and didn't have much money. I worked at a fast food place, and I made minimum wage, so for like one of our first real Valentine's Day things, we went out to a fancy steak place and got like the full 3-course meal and whatever. We were like 5 years old, so it was just kind of funny. And then they closed like a year later, so that place is gone.
Oh.
But still, it was fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
That must have been a lot of fun, considering you were a fast food worker. Now you get to go and experience.
Yeah, I
not
think
being a
that was
fast
the
food
time.
worker.
I don't think, because I got a different job, but I was still making minimum wage for like 3 years before I had a thing. So I'm pretty sure either way I was making minimum wage. I got kind of screwed. I didn't realize that minimum wage wasn't a lot. Anyway.
I don't think you realize minimum wage is a lot until you are living off of minimum wage.
Well, luckily I
'Cause,
wasn't living off a minimum wage, but it was
Yeah.
It's just like I was a student.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for a student, minimum wage is not bad, aside from like the cost of university.
Yeah, I guess I always just think of this like this time. Me and Synovia joke all the time because one of our earliest dates, I guess, at the end of it, we went to McDonald's because Synovia. Oh no, we were on our way to. I was on our way to. Jesus, I was driving us to drop her off at her home. On the way, she was like, "Oh, I want a high C or whatever." So we went to McDonald's, and it was like $2.10 for her high C orange. And I was like, "Damn, that's like 30 minutes of work," because after taxes and all this stuff, I make $6. And so, in my head, I was just like, "Oh my God, this is the worst! Like, you're just asking me for a drink." You know what I mean? But I didn't say anything. But It's just funny because, that's the way it was, I guess.
Yeah. Now, in comparison, you could buy hundreds of high C's a day.
I guess I'd go broke really fast, but I could probably buy like 100 high C oranges. Take out a loan maybe for it, but I could do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think somehow I got lucky and I missed having to work minimum wage because I worked at a place that paid extra to be a fast food employee.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated it a lot, but I get some skrill out of it.
Do you ever have like a nostalgia for working a job like that?
No. I worked at a fast food place, and said fast food place gives you a little name badge, which is your badge, and I kept that badge. And when I'm having a bad day, I look at that badge and say to myself, like, you made it through that, you can make it through this.
Damn, so it's like a traumatic experience for you, not like a bad job.
Yeah, well, there was like a couple of nights that were just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
There was an old man who walked in. Oh, I have another old man story after this. It's not as terrible, but an old dude walked in and asked for like a burger, basically. And I was like, oh, okay, it'll be, X amount of dollars and we'll get you your burger. And he just reached into his pocket and pulled out a fistful of change and threw it at me. Like, didn't like put it on the counter, like literally just threw it at my chest. And it bounced off my chest and like onto the counter. And he was like, figure out how much that is. And he just walked out and left.
What? Why would
yeah,
you figure
he
out how
threw
much that
change.
is if he didn't even want the burger?
He didn't want the burger because he left afterwards, but he did throw change at me. And the funny thing is, I think there was more change than the cost of the burger. So I think he paid me like $5 to get hit in the chest with change.
Wait, you're saying so he threw $5 total, or the cost of what it would have been plus $5?
I think he threw like $5 total. I don't think the meal was like, because he didn't get like a whole meal. He literally got like one burger, and I think that burger was like $2 something, if I remember right.
That's a ton of change. Like even quarters.
Yeah,
that's a ton of change.
Yeah, and it wasn't all quarters. It was like a medley. Like there were pennies, dimes, nickels, and quarters in there.
It's probably some form of assault, right? Like I know it doesn't. Like you don't really care, but that's probably illegal in some way.
I think it is illegal. My manager pulled me aside afterwards and was like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess," because at that point I was completely dead inside.
Yeah, I'm fine.
On the outside, I'm fine. On the inside, I'm just like, "Yeah, all right."
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that was probably the worst night that I was there. But my other old man story is yesterday, me and a friend were grabbing lunch, and an old man was just standing really close to us, and he looked at us, and when my friend went to go and get a drink, he was like, "Hey, sir, the brightness on my phone," or he was like, "My phone is too dim. Can you please fix that?" And I was like, okay. And he handed me an iPhone, and I don't know anything about iPhones. All I knew is like how to do that on my phone. So I was like, okay, like give me a sec, I'll figure it out. And then he was like, can you show me what you're doing? So I had to like tilt this really dim screen away from me so he could see. And then I was trying to like navigate his phone. And then I remembered like, okay, so iPhones have a settings app. And then in there's probably like a brightness setting. And then I turned the brightness up. And he was like, thanks, man. You're a lifesaver. And then he slapped me on the back a little bit. Not like hard, but like a gentle like, I'm a bro thing.
So both times you were assaulted by an old man is what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't even like old people.
Right. Old people listening, just know your place, I guess.
Know your place, you old dogs. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. Yeah, it was fine. I felt weird because the guy was like, "You're a real lifesaver," and then he left. But my friend had already like started to come back from his drink, so he just was staring at me like, "Why was there an old dude talking to you?" Like, then I'd explain the whole situation to him.
Yeah. That's cool though. I mean, helping that guy was probably nice. He just thought you looked like a nerd and that you could help him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is he really thought like, oh, this young adult person could probably figure it out? And I was like, I was pretty close to not being able to figure it out.
Yeah, it's like the same thing as Android though. I don't get. I mean, you just swipe up from the thing or swipe down from the thing.
Yeah. I just pull down, and then there's like a settings button. I would click that, and I actually went to go and do that. And when I swiped down, I was like, I don't even know what the heck this screen is. Like, there's a bunch of toggles and switches and stuff. So I swiped it back up, and I was like, shoot, where is this thing?
It's the one that has the sun on it. Come on, Yazeed.
It's a gear. It's not a sun.
No. I'm saying this from the swipe down menu. It has the sun. So it's not a bunch. You're like, oh, there's so many doohickeys. You're the old person.
That might be true. I definitely like. Oh boy, I don't know what this is. Well, the other thing too is it's not like I wear my glasses, so I couldn't read most of what I was seeing.
So you had poor vision and you didn't understand all the fancy buttons. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. All right. I know where this is going.
What's up with you? How's stuff going for you?
It's going pretty well. Work is still going. I play D&D with a group of people, and I want to quit, but I don't know how.
Well, I mean, this is a public thing. I mean, you're editing, but this is a public.
They definitely don't listen to the podcast.
Great.
They're coworkers, not friends. If they were friends, I would have been like, "Hey, listen, like I'm done." Actually, I would probably just never mention it again, which is how I ended the D&D campaign that I was running. But now I'm not running it. I'm like a member of the party, and I want to stop because I'm not having fun with it anymore. But I don't know how to tell them that.
I mean, you just tell them the exact sentence, you know. Be like, look.
Okay, role play with me. I'll be you. You have to tell me that you're done playing D&D with me.
Your mic cut out. I have to tell you that I'm what?
I'm. You're done playing D&D with me.
Hey, yeah, D&D boss. I don't know our relationship. I don't play D&D. I don't really like this whole thing anymore, and I don't like you. So, bye. Forever, though.
They're coworkers. I can't be mean to them.
Okay, then replace like I don't like you anymore with, just cut that part. You're good.
All right. Yeah. I have to find a good time to tell them this.
Right now, I mean,
because it's a whole day out of my week that I lose from doing fun stuff right now. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. You could just tell them with words though, like you just tell them.
Yeah, I think I'm naturally like confrontation averse, and I feel like it might be a conflict, and I don't want to do it. So maybe I'll just keep going to D&D.
There's no real confrontation to telling someone that you don't want to do something anymore. I mean, I am also the guy who, in 5th grade, called one of my friends, not really friends, and told him I didn't want to hang out with him because I wasn't allowed to. Just because I didn't want to tell him I didn't want to hang out with him. So maybe I'm not kind of being a hypocrite, but I mean, like, just tell them,
Maybe I'll just tell them that I'm not allowed to play D&D anymore.
Yeah, there you go. Just say your mom won't allow
it. That worked really well up to a certain age.
I mean, it still works for me. I mean, if someone asks you to do something and you say that your mom won't allow it, they'll definitely not do that thing with you, but not because of what you said, but like kind of because of what you said. You're a crazy person now to them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll talk about that after. I was going to say something I'm not going to say on the podcast, so we'll continue.
All right.
No, other than that, I've actually been listening to / watching a ton of YouTube videos on history stuff. So it's like Crash Course through like the YouTube series, and there's another one called Extra History, and it's been pretty cool. I like it a lot.
What's some of the interesting things that you've seen there?
So Crash Course, I've just been going through like World War One stuff because I saw 1917.
Oh, nice.
That's why I've been so into it. So I started watching like a bunch of stuff about World War One.
How'd you like 1917, by the way?
Bruh, that movie's so good.
Yeah, I guess we won't do spoilers for people. I mean, unless you want to. I don't know what this is. I don't know.
Nah, we'll just go. We'll plow into it, man. Like if you're listening and you haven't seen 1917 next week, like do yourself a favor and watch it, and also mute the podcast for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was really good. I wasn't expecting the brother to get murked. Like,
I mean, you kind of know in a movie like that though, where it's so personal bait. Like, I don't know if you've seen End of Watch, but it's basically the same thing. Well, not really the same. Anyway, you kind of know one person has to die. It's the way that these movies always go.
yeah, but I thought the brother would live, and it would be like, oh, the old veteran soldier, like he showed him the ropes and then died, like be his mentor. But instead, the old veteran soldier's the one who had to make it all the way to the brother.
Is he an old veteran? Isn't he just Guy?
No, he fought in at least a couple of battles. Like, he got a medal and stuff for fighting in some battle.
I guess I don't know how much more senior he was. Anyway, but like, yeah, I mean, one of them is gonna die, and I guess was expected. Like this, I wasn't super interested in the story. I guess it was like the movie,
Mm-hmm. I really liked it. Also, goddamn, dude, the viscera and like grit of that movie were intense.
Yeah.
The scene in the river, bruh.
The scene in the river.
Yeah, with the tree and he's like army crawling over the people.
I don't remember this.
There's like when he like has to jump into the river and he's like barely makes it out of the river.
Yeah, and it's all
and he
like,
gets that like tree.
Yeah.
And then he has to like army crawl.
All the nasty blood and stuff in the water, like towards the edge. It's like still falling out of the dudes.
Yeah, dude.
Super gross. Yeah. The first like rat explosion thing was crazy. Like everybody in the theater just like shook back.
Yeah, that movie didn't pull any punches. Even the like walk. The other thing too is it made me feel a little weird walking because of how much you'd see this person from the third person walking. Like,
yeah.
When I was walking out of the movie theater, I was like,
Yeah, I thought that was super cool though. The way that movie was shot, like the way they made it look like it was one big contiguous thing.
Yeah,
but
that was super cool.
Yeah, but like there's a few parts where I was like, I knew that going in that it was just kind of stitched together, so I was trying to find all the little weak points where you can tell. The one where he jumped, like he was running and he jumped off of like the bridge into the water, or whatever, super obvious, like cut or whatever there, but it's still really cool how they did it all. It was just awesome to watch. And then the scene, a lot of people have been talking about the scene of when he gets there towards the end and he's like about to tell them to call off the attack, but the attack has just started and all the dudes are just running, and when he's just running towards the camera and like this crazy thing, I don't know, that was just like such a cool moment.
It was. Yeah. Oh my god.
I don't know if I'd watch it again though. I mean, it's kind of like a watch it once and I'm done. Oh, especially for you.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I've been thinking about that policy a lot since our last conversation.
Yeah. I had to cut out a lot of that conversation. Like, editing the last one was the last couple have been so weird. I've been making a ton of cuts and, like, weird little micro cuts, and I think it's because I don't like editing right now. And so I'm, like, way too harsh on everything. I'm just like, that was stupid. Oh, you hear me breathing too hard. Oh, this whatever. But I think Anyway, I cut out a lot of that conversation, so it'll be fun to see how you edit these.
It's going to be a lot more loose, probably.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we'll see how that goes.
I'll make sure to cut the things that we agree are like 100% I have to cut.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. At any rate, that movie was really good. I don't know if I'd rewatch it either, but man, that movie made me feel things.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
I was thinking about it because I watched that 3 days, within 3 days of watching Bad Boys 3. And if you think about it, they're the same movie. Like, it's two guys, and you basically just have some sort of problem. They have to do something and get somewhere, but it's like a buddy action movie, drama thing. But they're like very different versions of it, but it's the same movie.
Yeah. It's, jeez. when the brother gets like stabbed,
Yeah.
and he's like, and then it's like, am I dying? And there's that long pause, and there's just no noise. I was like, oh god, oh god.
Yeah. It was cool. I mean, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I had that moment of like, what would I say if somebody was dying in front of me? Would you tell them that they're dying?
I mean, probably. Like, oh, it's not looking good, you know? In the middle of this thing, they don't know that there's people like literally right across the little thing that are going to be there in like a minute. But, you know, you're kind of in the middle of this farm or whatever it looks like. And then, yeah, dude's dying. You got to tell him, you know? Otherwise, he just dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole thing of like when he shot the German guy who stabbed him, it's like that's the only real scene where anybody actually got shot and you saw it, you know? It's like the only actual violent scene. I mean, there's the part where he's running from everybody shooting at him, but like, you know.
No, there's the tower scene too.
Oh yeah, he kills that one guy. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So really we see him kill 2 people.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 people. 3 people.
Who's the third?
The guy he strangles.
I remember that. Anyway, good movie. Point is, good movie.
Really good movie, yeah. I liked it a lot.
What else?
But anyway, back to the reason we got on this. Yeah, so like watching just a ton of stuff about like World War One. So like extra history is like a great man history of the world. So like they do like people, like great people. So I watched Otto von Bismarck's little like extra history thing, and then I also watched Suleiman the Magnificent's extra history thing. And Crash Course. I've just been doing all kinds of stuff.
I have no idea who that is. But
Suleiman the Magnificent?
Yeah, I don't know any. Is that a history person?
Oh, so like during the medieval times, there was a like basically like through Turkey there was like a big country called the Ottoman Empire, and Suleiman the Magnificent was one of the kings of that empire, and he took that empire to the greatest power it's ever had. Basically, he sieged Vienna and conquered all of Hungary, so he's like a big deal.
Nice.
Like he almost conquered all of Europe, basically. Like if he didn't lose the siege of Vienna, he probably would have conquered all of Europe.
Cool.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he was an interesting dude. Well, I mean, I don't think it was a good thing necessarily, but I also don't know like how it would have worked out. But yeah, he was a really interesting guy. He and Justinian are 2 of my favorite people in history.
I don't know who that is either.
Justinian is a Byzantine emperor who took the Byzantine Empire to its greatest height.
So you just like people who can do good stuff.
I like watching people who are good at things do their thing, and watching and like hearing about people who are really good at like building a nation. I like it a lot, but the reason I like both of those 2 guys is because they were really good at like picking, like supporting people to help them. And it's like each of them had like a couple of people who they really relied on to like get stuff done. And I kind of like that.
Yeah. It's like, I get why you like Civ so much now. You kind of just want to role play these people.
A little, yeah. And partially it's like, I like the idea of role-playing those people, but also just because, like, the way the game plays out is kind of weird sometimes. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, like, I want to be friends with this person. And then through, like, an odd series of agreements, you end up at war with them. And you have to, like, put down somebody who you were like, this was, like, supposed to be, like, my ally in the whole of history. You know?
You like having to turn on your friends?
No, I was using that as an example. I like how unpredictable it can be sometimes. Like, because in like a normal game, like the plot will direct how the game plays, but in those games, the gameplay is the plot. So like just how you play the game sometimes affects like what the rest of the world's doing.
Yeah.
You know?
I get that.
I don't know. I love stuff like that. I started playing Rome Total War 2 again, and I got a mod that randomizes where everyone starts at. So like normally like Rome would start in Italy and stuff like that. But now Rome could start in England, or Rome could start in like North Africa or Saudi Arabia, and you gotta like just play it out like you normally would, but you start in a weird spot.
That's cool. It sounds like
Yeah, it's kind of like a fun alternate history thing.
yeah. Well, I'm sure it's like, you know, this country was successful because it had access to this natural resource, but if you put it in the middle of the desert, it doesn't have that natural resource. Now, you know.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. I actually have the opposite. I have a country that was like super strong in the east, and I got placed in like modern day France, and because I'm just surrounded by like weaker barbarian states, and my country was like a really powerful empire, like I'm just blasting people left and right. Like I literally have like no challenge so far. Like I haven't lost a single battle or anything.
Yeah. Very nice.
But I don't know. Yeah.
I haven't played any video games this week. I mean, like Max Payne. I've been trying to find something interesting. I started playing The Pedestrian. Have you seen that? There's been a bunch of stuff on Reddit about it.
No.
I think the person who makes the game, or the team who makes the game, has been posting directly to Reddit as themselves. Like, been posting these updates. But kind of the core of it is it's a 2D platformer, or like 3D, but it's actually you're moving on a 2D plane, and you're like the little crosswalk guy, you know, at like street lights and signs and whatever. You are that guy moving through a city, like through this series of, you know, lights and signs and whatever else. And the guy kind of moves between all of them in this really cool looking way. You should look it up. It's like a visually really interesting game.
The Pedestrian, or just
I
Pedestrian?
think it's The Pedestrian. It just came out like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was super cool. I haven't played too much of it yet, but I've been seeing that thing on Reddit for years, I think. And yeah, it's cool to actually finally play it, and it seems awesome.
That sounds like a really interesting game. Do you like playing platformers?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite games probably of ever is Ratchet and Clank. Like, I love that series. I'm not much of a fan of, like, I like those over any 2D platformer, for example. Like, I like Ratchet and Clank over Mario, but I'd like Mario as well, if that is an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Would you want to make one for home games?
I don't know if we could. I think our I think the timing, like, I know this is an extreme example, but imagine doing something like Super Meat Boy in home games, and the amount of precision and low latency kind of tracking and movement you would need to have that game work and not be frustrating because it's all over just a network. And that network just can have weird lag spikes every now and then, and for whatever reason it takes you, you know, 4 times as long to get one single frame in, and it's all in this kind of queue, and so you missed out on this thing, and it's frustrating, you know.
Yeah.
So I think
that's true.
It'd be cool.
Whereas Super Meat Boy is like all done on that console or that computer, so they just do it right there.
But I'm actually realizing this is nuts. Okay, I'm actually realizing that because it's all just JS, Squish doesn't have anything specific to Node. It works on both client and the server, so we could probably do like a home games client, like just like a bundled up local thing. There is no network. It is just like the game engine, like squish and unsquish locally, game nodes running, tree reading, squisher, no game session, or like no, you know, network. And then we could basically build a platformer with no lag because it's all just on the device.
Oh, you're right. We could.
And
that'd be pretty cool.
The only downside is that there's no, you know, real network activity stuff we could do because we're intentionally ripping it out. Unless you want to do some sort of like extract the rendering out. I'm kind of going off on a wild home game thing right now, but like, what if we extract out the actual, you know, like game session means you want to receive rendered game state, and you can kind of just extract that out to be like multiplayer stuff and receiving messages, and you can kind of be in a mode where it's over streaming, and then it's, you know, another mode where it's not. You know what I mean? So you can have something like multiplayer with everybody having their own home games client running through something. You know what I mean? So there's no streaming to them. They're all running it. Like,
oh, I see what you mean.
but I don't know how that would even work because then you would need to have home games. Anyway, I have no idea how that would work, but I think that's just an idea. Anyway, so to your answer, yeah, I love platforming games.
You like, one of the things that I know, like I've noticed, is you're very careful about like lag and downtime. Is that something that really frustrates you when you're playing games?
Well, it's like input lag in general is just really bad, and I think when I get frustrated at a game, it should always just be because I'm doing something wrong or whatever. Otherwise, it's like a bad experience, you know. Either the game's bad or the whatever is bad. And so, like Dark Souls, for example, if you get mad at that game, you're mad because you're not good enough. You're not mad at the game. No, I mean, like, really, you know.
Spoken like a true Dark Souls fan.
But if you're playing, like Super Meat Boy, like I said earlier, you know, imagine that through no fault of your own, you're at the end of like a crazy run, and you're about to get to this achievement that you've always, you know, wanted to beat the last level, whatever. And then, lag spikes, and you miss a jump, and then you die. It's like, well, the game thing broke, and if the game thing isn't reliable for me to have fun with it, then I'm never gonna use this. Like, it needs to be really good. Like, it needs to be consistently good. And it's currently not, but I think we'll probably fix that stuff later. It's currently not good enough to handle something that's that active.
Idea.
Okay.
What if, along with our sending the packet, we sent a timestamp of when that packet was generated, and then on the rendering side, we read that timestamp and we say, like, is this within our tolerant band, basically? Like, do we tolerate this amount of like possible like wiggle room? And if it's over that, we roll it back like 2 or 3 squares, like 2 or 3 states, basically. So that instead of just like you die, you can opt to like roll it back a couple so that you could like redo it probably without the lag.
Oh, you're talking about like a built-in Prince of Persia feature to account for lag spikes.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I thought you were going to go in a direction of like send off the timestamp and have the client have a timeout to the point where it'll be like, oh, I don't even think that would work. Anyway, I didn't think you were going in that direction. That's an interesting idea, though. I guess it'd be hard to know or hard to set a consistent threshold for what a lag spike is, because networks can vary so wildly.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think what you would do is like each game can set what their tolerance like number is, and we just take that number and we like extrapolate like a value, that like a range that we say like, okay, if it was consumed within like 0 and 1 second or 0 and 5 seconds or whatever.
Oh, so they don't put in like the direct number themselves. It's basically we build an interface to translate that number to like we handle the network magic ourselves.
Yeah, because I don't think we should ask them to do it. But the other side of it too is that if we're storing old states, which wouldn't be hard to implement, we would just store the old packets because they re-render everything. We could just bounce back like 2 or 3 state changes.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess we could do something like that. That sounds about right. I don't know how we would do that, but I like where it's going or where that idea is going.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if it would even be a good idea, but I think we could do it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be fun to implement. I think like you said a couple weeks ago, we'll build it when we need it, kind of.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And if we have like a more fleshed out idea, then we can do that. I was thinking, in a general sense, like we could probably optimize the squisher by keeping game state, and this is maybe going to be worse. I don't know yet. But if we split game state into a per player thing, basically like a player joins, and instead of having one game state of everybody's thing that every client has to filter out player IDs, you could just have the server, because the server's already so fast. You know, like the server doesn't do a lot of work right now. And if we just have that filter happen once on the server, instead of each client having to do that filter, and, you know, say that I don't know, we have a game where there's 3 players and one player has 4,000 game nodes. Well, then the other 2 players are going to have a horrible performance because their thing is filtering out 4,000 game nodes. And there's really no value to sending that over to the network. If we can filter that out on the server, then we can kind of optimize and whatever. We'd basically have this thing of front load an array of every 0 player ID node, and we can kind of just traverse the tree. And anytime we encounter a non-zero player or a non-zero player ID node, we can. Also, this is home game stuff. Home game stuff. Put in music.
Oh shoot, my bad. Yeah.
No,
this is home game stuff.
It's my fault. I kind of turned What's Up into home games. But yeah,
it was the smoothest transition we've ever had.
I also have to send you all the audio files. I'll probably send. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. What was I saying? Front load an array of every player ID 0. Once you encounter one that's non-zero, don't even go down that subtree. So it'll kind of be a not fully, whatever type thing. Or maybe it will. No. Sorry, it'll be one in order traversal of the game tree. Every 0 node will go into a array, and then every player specific node will go into its own array, and then the squisher will take all of these arrays and concatenate them. So everybody will get the first thing with all the zeros, and then the one for their player ID. So they never have to filter anything.
But don't we need to know? Like, don't the other players need to be aware of what each player is doing?
Don't the
usually,
other players need to know what?
Like, don't they need to be aware of what other players are doing? So, like, you and me are both playing. I'm player 1, you're player 2, right? So we both get all 0 nodes, and then I get all the player 1 nodes. But what if I need to see what you're doing? Don't I need to get all your player 2 nodes too?
How? You're talking about, like, client A needs to see what is specifically meant for client B?
Well, do you mean, like, if it's hidden to that player?
Yeah, when I say hidden, I mean, like, it's just because that's the player ID, kind of like attribute is to say this is for this player. But all that stuff is filtered on the client today, so
I see.
The entire, like, squished state of the tree, or squished tree state or whatever, gets sent to every player, and then every player on their side has to filter out everything that's not for them. If we have some sort of, and I don't know if this will be efficient enough, is why I'm not 100% on it, but this whole array concatenation thing in the squisher, which will, allow the clients to just get what they need to render, and they don't have to do that filtering anymore. So each frame sent to each player will also probably be easier to debug. It won't be like everything for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I think we need to do some test runs on there. Whether looping it in the squisher is easy. Well, I feel like the server is going to be faster than the squisher anyway. But we don't want to slow down the server.
The squisher runs on the server, though. I mean, like, the server, it's either the server does this filtering work once, or the clients do it per client. And I guess I don't know where the bottleneck is, if we're limited by server rendering, or if we're limited by server socket sending or client rendering. But if we're limited by client rendering, then a good way to mitigate that would be to filter on the server, kind of offload some of the work. But yeah, again, I don't know how fast that would be, so I can run some tests and stuff.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know, like, timestamp wise, out, like, what's the average time it takes the server to to figure out what it's supposed to do, like to take in and then respond, and then what's the average time from the client from take in to finish rendering?
Yeah.
I feel like the rendering part of it is the longest part of it.
Yeah, and I also don't know how much time is spent in that if statement of, how much time is spent going through this array and saying, okay, is this for me? Is this for me? Is this for me? Like, if it just knows it's for them, then I would imagine. I mean, like, we would have the potential of each client finishes rendering its stuff at a certain point. You know what I mean? Like,
each client finishes rendering.
Like, say my array is 40 things long and yours is 1,000. We both got messages at roughly the same time. But by nature of your thing having to loop longer through a longer array, I guess we can't really have this problem, so it's not even thing. I'm just saying, like a frame comes in, and it's not like an atomic thing. There's like, people see the frame piece in. It's just very fast. But there's a potential where if my array is so much longer than yours that you actually start to notice that my thing isn't done rendering.
Mm-hmm. I see what you mean. That's a good point. I don't know.
But we currently have that problem because it just does that today. It just depends on the order of the thing and the filter. And anyway, this is hard, I guess is my point.
Yeah. That's getting into the nitty gritty of like, how do we make it more efficient? But again, I want to go back to like, maybe we hold off on doing stuff like that until we need it. Because right now it feels snappy. It feels like it's faster than what I can do.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think. Do you have anything? Because I have my whole update on home games, I guess.
I mean, really, my update is that I went through and I reviewed your PR yesterday, / today, depending on what time you start counting today. And I left a couple comments on there. It looked really good. Like, there was just a couple of things. Like, most of them were minor things. Then I think Collision needs some work. Still,
I responded to you. My thing does work. It
does it?
Yeah, I tested with the thing that you posted. It's like some weird mathy thing, but it's like if the corners are, if these math conditions are true, if the left is right of the right or the right is left of the left or whatever, and the y's intersect, then it's intersecting. The collision is really an intersection thing. But yeah, I posted the output of my little test. It's exactly what you posted. Rectangle A is inside, or has a rectangle B inside of it, like basically at 50-50 size and whatever, and or just 50% size of the larger one. Anyway, and then just check if they collide according to that algorithm, and they do.
Oh, okay. I will take a look at that. Thank you.
But yeah, I saw your other comments too. It's just like general cleanup and syntax stuff and whatever. So I'll probably just update that and then hopefully merge that relatively soon. And then master will be updated finally.
Woo! And then I'll update Square to use the new stuff. One of the things I did want to talk about was the naming of like home game internal functions. And I imagine you probably like read and probably left a comment back, but like the new player and remove player functions being able to be like overwritten by the developer.
Isn't that true of anything?
Yeah, but I was gonna say like maybe we shouldn't use like
common
easy
names
to accidentally overwrite names,
Okay, so we'll put underscores at the front of all of them. It seems to be like
either like underscores to like HG underscore whatever.
Yeah.
Like just like prefix it so they know like don't write this please.
Yeah, I think that totally works. Yeah, especially because it'll make it more specific about like this stuff is managing home game stuff, and anything that doesn't have HG whatever is all me. Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah, because I was just imagining a world where somebody tried to write a function called add new player.
You might they tried to what?
Oh, they wrote a function called like add player to help with their handle new player function, and now they're SOL because they can't have any new players join because they wrote their function the wrong way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll do that, and then I'll probably have to do some documentation, or we can do some documentation after that to just say like these are internal things, very basic, call this type stuff.
I like the way you did your handle new player calls here, where you're like this.game handle new player, then call it.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking about the React thing of like component will mount and component did unmount, and kind of you need this thing of a player is about to leave or a player did leave. I forget what exact case it was, but I realized that I needed to know that a player was still active in my thing but was about to be removed, and I forget what the reason was, but that kind of created the need to have both of those.
I imagine it was because if they left and they went back to the lobby, you could accidentally get a re-render. No,
I have no idea. I don't remember.
I don't know, but I did like the way that you solved the problem, so good job. Yeah, overall that PR looked really nice. It's a lot of code. It's like 3K lines of changes or something.
Yeah, it's large. But that's probably the largest change I'll make in a really long time because I'm working on a like my game thing now, and I don't think that'll be super large, but hopefully less than 3,000 lines.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's really all I had for home games, though. What do you have?
So I started working on what I think like I'm trying to limit scope. I'm still in very early stages of what I think I want to do, but because I'm the king of feature creep, so I keep going off on these things. Like anyway, on Thursday night I got this thing which is my original drawing of what my nana called Mr. Sticks for the home games guy, the little like thing that kicks. I posted like their first animation last year at this point. Anyway, that little guy, and I have the fight stick connected to my laptop, and I'm able to just move him around a background, like Binding of Isaac style, just full XY movement on like a 2D flat thing. So there's no jumping, that kind of thing. And he just moves around like this one room. And the movement's relatively smooth, but the reason that I am so concerned about lag, especially I think we might need to improve that stuff sooner rather than later, is because just this very basic test of moving him around causes, jumps every like maybe 10 seconds, and you're just trying to move smoothly, and then he'll just jump a frame. And that stuff is just not acceptable, I guess, for like an active action game, which is kind of what I'm trying to make as a test of like not super intense, but basically a very basic thing that requires like, movement and kind of like quick reaction stuff on a very, very like basic level. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, Zenobia and I went out to a bar last night. We were just talking, and I was kind of throwing ideas at her about what I wanted to do for my game and see kind of what she thought of them. And so I was originally thinking have someone like design rooms. So I am player A. I'm controlling this guy. This guy can kick. This guy can move. Yeah, all these different directions, and he can attack basically. So how about like Mario Maker style? Everybody else in this room in this session is kind of making the level for me, and then I have to play through it and survive. Kind of like build out a dungeon type thing. And then I realized that was just kind of it just sounded hard, I guess, and it was kind of one of those things of like, no, I need to just do something super simple and kind of iterate. And so I was just standing in the room again, like that's all I have. And then so I'm thinking now, instead of having to build out a dungeon, another thing is building out a dungeon takes time. Like if you imagine we just started the game and I'm the person who's playing, and you guys have like 2 minutes to make a dungeon. Well, I'm just sitting here for 2 minutes. If I look at you guys build a dungeon, it's not very fun because it kind of ruins the surprise. But otherwise, I'm just sitting here. So I think it needs to be shorter and more active. So this like one room idea where I have is like, okay, maybe everybody else in the game just kind of taps to place an enemy or something like that, like something more basic. And there's no like room building, and Zenobia and I were thinking about. She actually proposed this idea of basically building levels out with algorithms, like the whole procedure generated dungeon thing that games actually do, where basically you have a certain amount of tiles, and player has to get from point A to point B, and the game generates a 3-tile, 4-tile, 5-tile, whatever path to get there, and then players have to place things within these predefined tiles. So that way it reduces a lot of the time, and it kind of still keeps the interface simple for them. And so that might be where it ends up going, I think, because my idea, and Zenobia brought this up, the idea that like, Zenobia tapped on the screen and it placed 2 guys, and Yazeed tapped on the screen and placed 1 truck, and they're trying to kill Guy, and Guy kicks them. Doesn't sound very fun. So I think the whole thing of iterating on that and will probably become something larger, like the dungeon thing, but then sounding like writing an algorithm to generate dungeons like that sounds really hard. And I was complaining on this podcast about Rico not being able to do that to a way that like I really enjoyed. And so if I can't do it properly, I'm a jerk. So I'm putting pressure on myself.
That makes sense. I think that the idea of like a Mario Maker style game is interesting, but I think you're right that it would be pretty boring to just sit there and watch people make it.
Yeah.
Like I think with Super Mario Maker, what makes it fun is that somebody can take like X amount of time to like make the game, like make the little level you're supposed to play, and you have no idea about any of that. You just play the finished thing like when they put it out, you know?
Yeah, it's like, and you have to have, because that was one of the things that Snowy and I were talking about, of like being able to publish a level, but that requires so much infrastructure, and we would need to pay for something that can store all that, and we would need to fundamentally change the way that we do things and like actually persist data and all that kind of stuff, which maybe one day way in the future, if we actually have revenue, we could put it into a business. But right now it's like, I'm not paying for that. So
Yeah. Another thing too is like, do we even want to make a game like that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think we could even plan for that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe this stuff will change and we'll see a need to, something as simple as if we're offering a premium service, we'll need to offer game saves. You'll need to offer like some sort of state management of some sort, even if it's not actual like saving a game state itself, it's saving what you've done, your achievements, for example, something that you can always come back to that has like, you know, something as basic as a go-to player name. We'll need to persist that. So we'll need to have some sort of infrastructure if we ever want to do that, and that'll probably come along with other stuff that we'll need to, you know what I mean, to support. So we'll see, but not right now. I mean, that's nothing I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah. So your game is going to be kind of like a dungeon crawler a little bit, where you maneuver through. Oh, wow. I actually saw the Discord thing not pick it up there.
Yeah. My game is going to be, and that's all.
Like a dungeon crawler style game where you like move through the dungeon and the other people like create the layout of the enemies to fight.
Yeah, basically like a game, like a dungeon that we create algorithmically will be kind of messed with by people through basic interactions, and then kind of one person has to play through this level and everybody watches. And I guess it can move in turns. I don't really know, but I think that's the general idea. But right now I'm just trying to get a room with a guy kicking, because I want to see how it works when something can kill you, and if it makes contact with you, then you die. If you kick it, which is you making contact with it, then it dies. That's a different kind of problem than what we've seen before. So I want to see how that works, kind of, and then kind of iterate from there.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Do you have a name for this game?
It's called Game Thing in code, so Game Thing. No,
it's not bad. It's not a bad name.
I also want to do assets for it. Like, I really want to make this like my best idea of what a game could look like with, you know, with everything that we have so far, and maybe some sort of basic sound too. It probably doesn't even work anymore. I'll have to go update it, but you know, it's kind of like our best foot forward, I guess, to make something that's like a real demo of what we have right now, because we could do something like what we're describing, but like we can have assets and we can have, you know, audio, and we can have kind of cool input on different devices and stuff, and like we can do all that, which is going to be really time consuming, I guess. So I don't know how that'll really work, or what the timeline is, or anything like that, but I'm just kind of messing around still.
Yeah, that makes sense. Would it help to do like a write-up of what you want to do, or do you think that you're more interested in like wheeling and dealing?
Maybe once I have my idea more defined, I can do sort of like a, you know, some sort of a summary like that of what I want to do. But right now it's like, you know, yesterday it was just an hour of back and forth with Synovia over whiskey, so that's not super game yet.
Nice, man. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like it's going to be like the most complete game we have when you're done with it.
Yeah, and I think we'll run into a ton of problems on the way, so that'll be kind of fun. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be frustrating, but fixing those problems is going to make the product better, which is great.
No doubt. I also, I mean, like the idea before of a local thing of home games, I think that's actually super interesting. Like we like accidentally made a game engine like inside of this thing that's just actually just, you know, sending it out to people. But Squish.js is kind of a game engine, very basic, but it's Squish on Squish game node. That's really all you need. You don't even need Squish. You just define game nodes and it just does that on the. Oh my god, this is just game node. And the tree. Anyway.
Yeah, that's I'm excited, man. That sounds like it's gonna be super cool.
Yeah. I'm pumped.
What else you got, man? Sounds like you had a lot of stuff.
That was it, really. I mean, I've just been working on that stuff. I really didn't work on home games anything until Thursday night, and then that was just like a couple hours, and I haven't really touched it again. Besides just kind of thinking a lot about the game I want to make. But in terms of home game stuff, yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. Oh yeah, we're on the first page of Google if you search home games, which is pretty rad.
Yeah,
I sent
we
you
are.
that text.
Super cool.
Yeah, I sent you that text earlier this week, and you were like, "How does that happen?" And I was like, it kind of natural keyword searches and whatever, but then also you can pay to get your stuff ranked higher on Google." And you were like, "Oh, you paid for that?" And I was like, "No, it just kind of happened," which is really cool because for us,
that's super cool.
Yeah, like for a while, whenever I Googled it, it would be this like poker tournament stuff. I think there's another thing. It's like a similar idea, like online multiplayer video game thing, but it's for gambling, poker. Anyway, and so like we were always on like page 3 or whatever. It's like, hey, that's kind of cool. But now we're at the bottom of the first page.
We're moving up in the world, literally.
At least for us. I mean, Seattle and Tucson. It's kind of a, at least we're number.
Oh, do they do them by
location based? Yeah.
Location?
Yeah. It's very personalized, the Google stuff.
Damn, Google knows too much.
Oh, no doubt. They have they have record of everything you've ever Googled. Think about that.
That is true. You can request it. I have, and it's like gigabytes of data. What was I gonna say? Oh, I didn't know this, but like I use Google Fit to track workouts, but apparently you can use Google Fit to track sleep too.
Nice. How does it track sleep? Do you have to put it on your bed?
Yeah. The thing is, you have to tell it you're going to sleep.
Dumb.
Yeah. Well, it's the same way with working out. Like, it doesn't just know, like, oh, he or she they are in a gym, therefore, like, they're working out. It's like, oh, I have to specifically say, like, I am starting my workout now. Please track it. Right. And then at the end of it, it's like, you've burned this many calories, assuming, like, your height, weight, and everything is correct. And, like, that's what you would burn. So it's kind of cool.
You have to manually put in your average BPM? Or how does it know that?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't track the heartbeat stuff. I really don't care about like the amount of calories burned. It's more like I just want to know how long I was working out for, basically.
Oh, you want a stopwatch?
Yeah, I want a stopwatch that tracks it. But like I want a stopwatch that tracks it, but like gives me like information on it. Okay. Like I want averages.
Do they have any kind of the wearables? Like, are there any good modern wearables for Android stuff, or is it just the Apple Watch?
I don't know, actually. There might be like a wearable for Apple or Android stuff, like an Android watch kind of, but
I know there used to be. I don't know if they still make them, like, or if they're still popular or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that like I don't know if I would want to. Like, I don't even listen to music when I work out. Like, I just do it,
That's very odd, but yeah, I think I read a thing on Twitter where it was like anybody at the gym without headphones in is like planning to avenge their murdered brother or something like that. They're just trying to get strong for revenge.
I'm definitely my brother is still very much alive. I don't know. I just like listening to myself suffer through working out, like the heavy breathing.
Oh yeah,
like that's kind of fun for me.
I cut that out of a previous podcast because we were talking about weird stuff, but the heavy breathing like keeps you going.
Yeah, well, it's not that it keeps me going. It just it reminds me that I'm really struggling, right? Because like I feel like it's cheating when you're listening to music. You don't hear how much your body's struggling, so I feel like it's like an out of sight, out of mind thing. Mm-hmm. But when all you can hear is how hard you're breathing, you're definitely aware of like, man, I am working hard.
I kind of get that. I don't think I would like that, but I get it.
Yeah. I think the explanation that last time I gave was even better. Like the very justification, because it's like I started working out with rock climbing and hiking, both of which are things you want to be paying attention for. Like,
oh yeah,
you don't want to lose focus, then fall off the side of a mountain or something.
Well, I think
because
even
you were
just, like,
jamming out hardcore.
Like walking around downtown Seattle with your headphones on is stupid. Like I think doing anything like outside with headphones on is stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
There are people.
Headphones are for when you're writing code, you know.
Yeah. There are people like I
Developers
always laugh. There are people who work at like the tech companies around here, and they'll walk around downtown with their like $3,000 MacBook full of company secrets, and then their $400 wireless headphones on their head. So they're saying, "Hey, everybody, these are noise canceling. I cannot hear you approach me. I'm a nerd. I won't defend myself. I have thousands of dollars of technology on me. Please rob me."
Not including the company secrets on that laptop. Like corporate espionage, man. That must be a real thing in Seattle.
I mean, it's a thing everywhere. It's like such a. I mean, you can go to a coffee shop and hear people having like a job interview, and in that job interview, it'll be someone asking about what this person does, and you'll just hear about stuff just kind of being around. It's such a. It's like the whole thing with information security. Like the weakest link is always humans.
Yeah. If you could get into corporate espionage, would you?
That stuff seems crazy. I don't know a lot about what like tech security stuff, and I don't ever want to be responsible for something broken in tech security, like privacy and all that. I'd rather just not know. It's just like I'd rather be ignorant, because I know that from like the little things I've heard that there is no such thing as security and everything's a nightmare all the time. So
yeah,
I mean, tech in general, everything's a nightmare all the time. Nothing works.
Do you have anything else on home games?
No, not currently. No. Again, just very, very hyped to see what this episode sounds like in the end. I want to see how you edit.
Yeah. Oh, also, so if you make changes to to your PR this weekend, I'll look over it again, and then I can approve it, and then we can merge it in, and then next week I'll move Square over to using the new stuff, and then we can go over it again, and then after that we can make a YouTube video about Square, if that works for you.
You're gonna make the YouTube video. It's
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'll make the YouTube video, but yeah.
yeah. You should demo Square because it's super rad.
Okay, I will do that once I move it over to the new stuff, so that it's just like we can also be like, okay, here you go. Here's how the new stuff looks and feels.
Also, I checked Pico de Gallo again, and it was down. So something in Square broke, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah, somebody pointed that out to me too, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. I wonder why, but I don't actually know what would break in Square.
You don't actually what in Square?
I don't know what would break in Square.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you know what?
You just fixed the bug in your head without... Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So, all right, so here's the dealio. I have a maximum number of players that Square can allow, because if you have too many players, you spawn to the right of the edge of the map. It's like you spawn over the 100 spot.
Okay.
And I think that breaks the game.
Another problem is that when a player disconnects, you don't remove them. That's
why,
yeah,
that is too. Like I said in the last episode, Square is multiplayer, like only sort of works.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm just saying that if you fix the removal bug, then you won't have so many cases of more than like 11 people being connected, because currently it's like a total sum count of people who have connected, not people who are in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to fix that, because I also need to not recycle. I need to reuse spawning spots, because I think that I do it right now. I do a calculation based on the length of the number of players in the game. So even if I was removing them, there's a chance that, like, for example, like player... Oh, actually, you know what? No, that should be fine, because I reset it at the end of the round. I don't know. I would need to look at it some more. I think I need to do some cleanup. Square needs definitely to do some cleanup. And I want to implement... We talked about this like 2 or 3 episodes ago, but like the... queue, like a state queue. So I want to implement that, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. I think that was a really good idea from you. So I want to at least try to implement it and see how it goes.
Yeah, that would be, because if that works out, then that'll be kind of an interesting approach to how to handle rendering in general. Maybe we can kind of abstract it in a way.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try doing that and see how it goes.
Yeah.
My only issue right now is mentally. I'm running into an issue where I'm like a ton atomicity with it, because I have players who are basically asynchronously moving, and then I have like the NPCs who are asynchronously moving. So I'll be pushing to the queue at the same time I'm consuming it. Mm-hmm. So I need to find a way to make that atomic so that I can consume the queue and then push into the queue without making it lag. Maybe. Because the other thing is, like, I don't think that Node.js is truly, like, needs that either. But I don't remember. I'll need to play around with it some more. There's quite a few things I want to do with squares still.
Yeah, shouldn't the event loop stuff just handle that? If you say push and pop or whatever the heck the operations are, it'll just kind of do, like, I don't know where there would be a performance miss there. I mean, generally, appending or popping from an array is not super efficient, but I don't know what the problem would be. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'll take a look at it. Because the other thing, too, is I don't even need a... I don't know. Like I said, I'll take a look at it this coming week, and I'll consider deeply my choices. / may text you and be like, I need to talk this out.
I'll be your rubber duck. Also,
Woo.
If you want to see an example of like reusing the player space, like someone disconnected and take their guy away and reuse that spot, the sprite test in my branch does that. The
okay.
Guy,
perfect.
I think it works still. That game, I don't know if you watched the video demo, but that one was broken. The guy would disappear after like a second. So that was an issue, but the placement I think should be fine.
Shoot! I never did watch. Okay, I will watch it.
I will probably do another one like you said for Square, and then I don't know when we'll do that one after that, but hopefully with some regularity to that schedule.
Well, I think it should be whenever we make like big changes, or when we come out with a new game, or like maybe like the progress of a game or something like that.
No, I agree. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know how often they'll be. Like I don't know when people can expect the next one or the one after.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's probably not going to be like super often. Like we might get one like once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks, I think.
That's I would think like once a month maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Well, because there's two of us, and if we're working on two different games, depending on the timing, I could see a world where we get it to be once every 2 weeks if we like synchronize properly, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no, we can't synchronize properly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else for home games, though.
Me neither.
Ready to move on?
Yes.
All right, man. Song of the week. Would you like to go?
Sure. My song of the week is "Lost" by Quavo featuring Kid Cudi. So Quavo, do you know who Quavo is?
You've mentioned this person to me before, but I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, I think I mentioned because he's on it was my first song of the week, I think. Anyway, the Jack Boy song, I forget what it's called. Had Enough. Quavo's on that one. I mentioned Quavo. Anyway, Quavo's one of the Migos. Are you familiar with the Migos?
I've heard you say that before also, but I don't know what that is.
They are a rap trio from Atlanta, and Quavo is kind of like probably one of the most, he was the most popular for a long time, and now it's kind of they're all very popular type thing. Anyway, he came out with a solo album a couple years ago. I listened to it. It was like late 2018, I think it came out. I listened to it partially, and I just didn't really like it very much. And I listened to the song with Kid Cudi because I listened to pretty much everything that Kid Cudi's on. Even there's a Selena Gomez song a couple weeks ago that Kid Cudi was on that I listened to. Anyway, anyway, I just listened to it, and I was kind of bored by it. But then I went back and re-listened to it this past week. I don't remember why. I just kind of found it again. And I really, really like it. Like, really, really like it. I listened to it a few times on repeat before we started this. There's a part towards the end where the beat does this crazy like horror movie type thing, and it just sounds super cool. And then I looked and I saw that Kid Cudi has partial like production credits on that song, so it sounds like Kid Cudi would be the one to be adding that in because he's the GOAT, and it's really great.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think I would like Quavo?
No, he doesn't make music. I mean, like, his very energetic trap music. His voice is like, to me, my favorite things that Quavo does is when he like is loud and has a lot of energy, and he's very hit or miss as of late. But a lot of earlier Quavo stuff has that energy. Like, I don't know. If you want to have like high energy music about violence and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely there.
Okay, cool.
But that's not your
I
kind of
will.
music.
Yeah, I'll try to listen to Quavo, and I'll let you know.
Did you ever listen to? Was there a song that I suggested you listen to last week? I don't remember, or the week before.
You mentioned a song by Freddie Gibbs, but I don't.
Oh yeah, Fake Names.
It is Fake Names by Freddie Gibbs. I still haven't listened to that song actually.
My God.
Like I said, I really thought yesterday was Thursday because I was off on Monday.
It's all good.
So I was very confused.
Situations is a good one too. You should just listen to the whole Freddie Gibbs recent album with Madlib. It's called Bandana. I mean, if you want to get into rap, that's a good one to start with.
I will try to. The thing is like I want to be able to listen to any genre. Sorry, I want to be able to listen to any genre.
Yeah, I want to get into country. For like my whole life, I've been one of those like I don't like country people, and not like pop country, like country, because I never really gave that genre any respect. So I'm trying to get into it. But I know what you mean, like just trying to get into everything.
Yeah. I don't know. There's like so much cool stuff out there.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to be able to listen to like a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the people who are like, oh, I listen to everything except hip hop, or listen to everything except whatever. It's like, oh, so why? Like, why do you just? Because like we talked about before, it's like genres are kind of fuzzy, and so if you just define yourself as someone who doesn't listen to a genre, you're like choosing to not. You know what I mean? You're choosing to not appreciate some type of thing that might be cool.
I don't know. Country is the hardest one for me to get into, I think.
Yeah. It's a very different thing from what I like. But Young Thug, his album it used to be called Easy Breezy Beautiful Thugger Girls, and then he changed it to just Beautiful Thugger Girls. I think whoever that brand is threatened to sue him or something like that. Anyway, so there's like a country influence in that. It's like pop, trap, country music at some points, and it's super interesting. So you just like the kind of weird vocal things, like Country Billy made a couple milli is like one of the famous lines from one of the songs on there. But the way he says it is funny, and like country music is there's something cool to it, like that weird kind of vibe, I guess, like the way that there's like that twang in it. I like that. The subject matter I don't really relate to or care about, but I like the way it sounds.
From what I hear, like country actually covers a lot of subject matter, but like pop country covers like trucks and beer. And jeans.
I guess I'm mixing the two. Like I'm mixing that subject matter with what I don't want to hear about, but like Jesus Take the Wheel, for example, I'm pretty sure it could be considered like some sort of country song, like the original whatever by what's her name. And it's like, anyway, I like that song, but it's not about trucks or beer.
I was going to say the only country singer I know is Dolly Parton.
Is who?
And Garth Brooks, but not for
any
good reasons.
Yeah, Garth Brooks is like my go-to name too. I don't know any country people. Like George Strait. Anyway.
Miley Cyrus's dad.
Oh yeah, Billy Ray Cyrus.
There we go.
There you
go. Young Thug.
Everyone's favorite country musician.
Wait, was it Young Thug? No, it was Lil Nas. Wait, who was it?
With the well, Young Thug was on the remix of Old Town Road. The best remix is the one that had Young Thug and Mason Ramsey on it. You ain't got no.
Yeah, I'm very far out of the rap game and also the country music game. What's it? What is? Sorry.
If you ain't got no giddy up, then giddy out my way. That's a bar.
My song of the week is "Be Mine" by Offenbach.
By who? Your thing cut out.
By Offenbach. "Be Mine" by Offenbach. Ofenbach.
What's that? What's that song? You just said a lot of letters. I don't know what that is.
Oh, the song is called "Be Mine." The band is Offenbach, and then I just spelled it. Ofenbach is how you spell that.
Okay.
But it's, I think it's just like kind of like electronica. I don't know. It's definitely poppy, but it's not a lady who's singing. It's a dude. That's the difference.
Is it still like a soft voice type, subtle music?
No, it's more like party music.
Okay.
It's something you'd listen to at like, you'd probably find it at like a club in like France or Germany.
Are there words?
It's Euro.
Or is it just like a beat?
Yeah, there's words and a beat, but there's words too.
What are the words about? Is it like just about jumping and dancing and stuff? Like what's the...
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's straight up just like, it's not like an indie pop song where they're talking about something like weird and abstract. It's straight up just like, we're here to have a good time.
Yeah. That's like the best type of stuff to write code to. Just like upbeat, high tempo type stuff.
Yeah. Well, I actually haven't been listening to a lot of music while I was writing code this week. So that's what I'll be listening to when I get home.
I mean, when you're watching your Vine compilation and you're eating your soup or whatever, you just throw on some high energy European dance music.
No, like, because I was off of work on Monday, I cleaned my kitchen really well. Like, I cleaned every inch of my kitchen, like, super well. And just, I wanted some high energy music while I was doing that. You want to hop into What's Up Part 2?
What's Up Part 2? You like that? Like,
that was a good radio voice.
But welcome. Whatever. Yeah, What's Up Part 2? Do you want to go first?
To finish off the sports hour.
Home game sports
Novak
minute.
Djokovic. Yeah, sports minute. Novak Djokovic won the Australian Open in a close 5-setter on Sunday.
Is that that's the one you didn't want to win?
Yeah, I don't like Djokovic.
Okay. That was our home game sports minute.
That's all I got. Also, Super Bowl happened, and I heard Shakira and somebody did crazy stuff on screen.
People were mad about butts. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I
being mad
heard
about
that.
Butts. It's like the best.
Didn't somebody sue and say like they jeopardized their eternal soul or whatever?
It's like I'm gonna suffer an eternal hellfire or whatever because of the devil stuff that you put on my TV.
I think my favorite one to that, where there was a tweet that said, "Imagine getting so horny." Imagine getting so horny that you go to hell.
Yeah, I saw the same, and it was like, imagine being so horny you need a lawyer for it or something.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's silly. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I just watched that. Synovia and I, like, we were gonna watch the Super Bowl. We realized that the antenna that we have doesn't pick up that channel, whatever. And we're like, oh, we don't care. So we watched something else. I forget. But then we watched the butts, and we were both very impressed by the butts.
I need to watch this butt stuff because I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, Shakira is a national treasure. Her hips
An
don't
international
lie.
treasure.
That's true. A global treasure.
Her hips do not lie. That is true.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Anyway, Super Bowl butt talk is the home game sports minute.
Who even won the Super Bowl?
The other ones, not the ones that you know about. The Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who cares?
Nice. I'm sure people care. I just don't.
If you like Super Bowl and you enjoyed Super Bowl, that's very cool.
Yeah. I don't watch football. Yeah. I don't know. That's literally all I had for What's Up Part 2.
My What's Up Part 2, I watched Atlanta the whole first season. I really liked that show a lot. Because are you familiar with the show Atlanta?
I've never even heard of this show. I thought you were talking about the city originally, and I was very confused.
So, you know who Donald Glover is? Childish Gambino?
Yeah.
Okay. So he has a show on, I think it's FX, called Atlanta. It's like a drama, but also kind of a comedy, like dark comedy at some points, but then also sometimes just comedy. Show about just, this like rapper named Paperboy, who is Donald Glover's character's cousin, and he's trying to manage Paperboy to like basically get a better life or whatever. And I just finished the first season, and it's really good, like really, really good. So now I want to watch the second season. But the reason I wanted to watch that is because for the Super Bowl, I made wings, and I got my wing recipe from the Binging with Babish episode where he makes wings from Atlanta, which are lemon pepper wet, which are lemon pepper and hot sauce combined on the wing. I don't make those. I just make lemon pepper and then separate hot ones, but that made me want to watch the show, and it's actually awesome.
Okay.
In darker news, I signed up for a Crunchyroll subscription.
Oh, God. All right.
I started watching My Hero Academia. That's like the most popular one on Crunchyroll. And I tried to do it while I was working on other stuff, but it has subtitles, and I can't do that. I need to actually read the show. So I'll probably watch some of that and see if I like it. I don't know. But I have a Crunchyroll subscription right now.
So sorry. I'm actually also watching that show because another friend wants to go and see the movie. I guess it's coming out.
Do you like it, the show?
It's okay. I watch like an episode every other day or something like that. Like I'm really not.
Okay.
I can't binge that like anime.
Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, anime. I really didn't watch much of it. I watched a ton of Atlanta. We watched the end of The Good Place. I don't know if you've seen more of The Good Place, but
no, I haven't.
Show ended. And we had like a.
Did you like the ending?
I did. I thought it was like safe, I guess. Me and Synovia had this whole conversation last night because we went on kind of like a bar thing. We were at a second bar last night, and we
the first bar was for home games. The second bar was for The Good Place.
Yeah, exactly.
Third bar was no.
Yeah, we went to a whiskey bar first, and we went to a separate cocktail bar after that, and we had like a 30-minute conversation about like the philosophy of The Good Place, because it's really just a philosophical like argument in the context of a comedy show or whatever. And you haven't seen a lot of it, I guess, yet, but I don't know, it ended like in a safe way, I guess, is my summary of it. Synovia disagrees. You should finish The Good Place.
I don't know.
Dude.
Yeah, I think I need to. I think I need to.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on the show once you finish it. But you got like 3 seasons to go still.
Yeah, at an episode a day, it's gonna take me a little while.
Yeah, it's like 52 total episodes or 53 total episodes.
Yeah. To go back to anime real quick, I like the premise of My Hero Academia. I just wish it was less anime.
What do you mean less anime?
How far along in that show are you?
5 minutes from the first episode. That's what I'm saying. I have it. I literally started to watch it. I saw their subtitles and I couldn't do it while I did other things.
I honestly, at that first episode, I almost quit the show. Like, I really didn't like the first episode.
Cut out. The third episode.
Oh, after the first episode, I almost quit the show.
Oh.
I didn't like it until on like the 4th episode or something.
Yeah.
It gets okay.
Great.
I'm supposed to watch like 78 episodes between now and when this movie comes out. Oh, God, I saw my mic cut out there. I'm supposed to watch like 78 episodes between now and when the movie comes out. So I don't even know if I'm going to make it.
Maybe you're not liking it so much because you have this deadline and you're not able to focus on the show.
I really don't like deadlines.
Yeah, no one does. They just exist.
Well, there's some people who like thrive on deadlines, who like make deadlines for their whole life.
Yeah, I mean, it helps people stay focused for sure. I think like people like Alex, I never understood how he did it in school, but it would be like, have you started that thing yet? And it's the day before it's done or it's due. And he's like, oh yeah, no. And then he'll just let the anxiety like build up and procrastinate so crazy. And then like he'll, like you said, live for the deadline. And then 8 hours before it's due, he'll just like go and sit down for 8 hours straight and just crank something out that totally works and gets him a good grade. And it's like, dude, I've been working on this for 2 weeks. Like, how do you do that? I mean, like, I kind of get it because it makes you have to, you have pressure. The pressure makes you do something, but that's just a very stressful life. I do the same thing. I just wish I didn't, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
I also don't pull weeds in my yard, and then I get a letter with a due date to have my weeds pulled.
I hate the HOA. When I was in Tucson last time, we had a whole conversation in the car about how much I hate the HOA and the idea of the HOA, but whatever. That's so stupid.
So, do you have anything else for What's Up Part 2?
No, just a bunch of television. I'm probably gonna play more of the pedestrian. I also really kind of gave up on Dragon Ball. Not gave up. I fell off for like a week, and now I don't want to get back into it. It's that thing that happens with video games, you know. Especially when your life is like 1,000 different things happening at once. And anyway, I want to play Dragon Ball, but I don't know if I'm gonna play more Dragon Ball anytime soon because it's really just Dragon Ball Z story with the same gameplay I've been playing. So, we'll see.
It sounded like they were saying that game got kind of repetitive. Like,
yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. It's like, you just think about the time investment I guess it takes, and it's like, okay, yeah, the same game. You know, my guy is getting better. My RPG numbers are going up, and that's super cool. And every now and then the fights are harder, but for the most part, it's just, you know, spam the punch thing until they're about to attack, and then do your shield, and then dash behind them, and then Kamehameha, and then like it's very formulaic, I guess. So it's just not how I want to be. Like, but the thing is, that's why I've been playing Max Payne 3. That game is just really, really good. I've been playing it on hard, and I don't know, every level of that game is unique, and it doesn't feel like repetitive, or doesn't, even though it's the same gameplay throughout. You know, it's Max Payne slow motion shooting guys. That's it. But every level you can remember that level. Like, there's one in a sports stadium, there's one like in a nightclub, and they all have very distinct pieces to them. And so it's like, oh wow, I've been playing for 4 hours and it doesn't feel like it, and I'm already kind of almost done with the single player story because I beat that game a few times, but it doesn't feel like it. And it's like, now I just got to Brazil, which is like the second half of the game, but that game is just, I don't know, so it still looks great. They updated it relatively recently to support 21:9 monitors, so like it runs great, it still looks great. The game came out I think 8 years ago.
Wow.
But it's awesome. I wish they would make another one, but they probably won't. People.
Is the studio still around?
Yeah, Rockstar. I think. Well, I don't know the actual Rockstar studio that made it, but I would imagine they're still around. Rockstar. I don't know. They don't seem to get rid of a lot of their stuff. I don't actually know.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I don't know. I think I played Max Payne 1, and then I didn't play any after that.
Yeah, I played Max Payne 1 with my cousin when it came out. We were like super pumped on it, and then my mom, I remember, because she was like, "What's that thing that you're picking up for health?" And we were like, "Oh, it's painkillers," because, you know, you just read the text and it's like, yeah. I was like 5 years old or something, and my cousin wasn't much older than me, so my mom was like, "Oh my god, what?" The shooting guys is all good, but abusing drugs? No.
Yeah. Max Payne 1 is the one with the scene where your kid gets killed or something?
That's like the beginning of the thing, but you're talking about the level where you walk on like the blood path?
Yeah.
I hate that level. It's one of my least favorite levels of video games ever.
Yeah, the reason I didn't play anything of Max Payne after that level is I glitched and fell infinitely but didn't know.
Oh, so you're just like, where's the path? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I got stuck in like a weird geometry thing, and my character fell through. Like I only realized that like now what happened, because like it doesn't make sense. Nothing else makes sense to like could have happened, and I just fell infinitely.
Yeah. Besides that level though, I think that game is still really good. I beat it I think a couple years ago because I got Max Payne 1 and 2 on Steam, and I had 3 already. But I played through the first one. You know, it definitely is dated, and that level sucks. But the basic, you know, jump around and slow-mo shoot guys, it still feels good. It's still correct, you know?
Yeah.
And I started playing Max Payne 2, which I think is slightly better in the gameplay, and you don't have anything like the blood whatever levels. I just never beat it. But Max Payne 3 is like a whole different game. The gameplay is very different. But it's the same.
Do you still set on time?
Yeah, like the core of, you know, shoot guys in slow motion is the same, but there's a lot more weight to it. Max Payne 1, 2, like, I hit the key and I'm immediately facing that direction and running in that direction. It's a very blocky movement. Whereas Max Payne 3, it's using I'm pretty sure the same physics engine as GTA. So, you know how GTA 4, that was the first one where they did this, but you would see him like walking up and down stairs, and his foot was like individual steps, and you can roll down stairs and stuff like that. All the kind of realistic physics. It's like that in Max Payne, which makes the shooting really cool because it's like a better version of the shooting in GTA, where they kind of react to shots a lot more, and there's a lot more just guts and stuff. Well, not guts, but it's just blood, and like you blow chunks out of people and stuff like that. And like really good blood spurts. The other day, in one of the things I was playing, I shot a guy in the eye, and then I realized I've played this game like maybe 30 hours, 40 hours in my life. And I realized that when you get a certain type of headshot or face shot or whatever on a guy and he's on the ground, there's like this crazy blood spurt volcano thing coming out of his face. And it's like details in the way that you shoot guys. It's like gun porn in a weird way. It's like really kind of gross, but I love it.
That sounds super fun, though.
Yeah, it's great. I really love Max Payne 3. But the same thing I complained about when I was mentioning it when you asked me what my game of the decade was. My most frustrating thing is that the cutscenes, like if you've seen them once, you've seen them basically, like you never have to watch them again. But if you want to play the game again, you have to watch every cutscene again, and you can't really skip them easily because it takes so long to load.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's not great. But anyway, Max Payne 3 in stores now.
So real quick before we move on to the next part, we mentioned this earlier, but I've been really thinking about my position on rewatching movies and TV shows, specifically because of your thing about my favorite movie of all time and how you said, what if you don't like it anymore? And I'm going to be really upset with you if I watch it and I don't like that movie anymore. But I think I'm going to rewatch it.
Well, I mean, like, I'm just giving my opinion. I'm not saying you have to do anything. I just think... I think what you and I define as, like, my favorite movie, your favorite movie, is a different type of thing. It's like we talked about... I think we talked about that time that we talked about this first time. Anyway, you're very much about, like, the experience. You're about... the game when you play it and not the story of the game, like you said earlier in this podcast. Like it's about the story of the gameplay. So it's like, okay, well, that's how you approach video games, which is different from how I do. And then you also approach movies like about the experience, about your life at the time or whatever. Like it's just very different. I'm not saying you have to be like me.
Well, the reason is I want to see if I like that movie still, even. Because, like, I don't know. When I tell people that's my favorite movie, I also tell them that it's not a good movie.
You what?
Right.
You can cut out.
Oh, I also tell them that it's not a good movie. But what if it is a good movie?
Yeah, but like
then I can tell them.
Why do you discredit like your opinion or whatever? Like you don't. You know, I get it. Like the mentality of like, here's this thing I made. It's stupid. You know, it's like this thing I like, but not really in case you don't like it. Like. You can like it.
I don't do it because of that. I do it because it's like... I don't like it because I think it's the best movie of all time. I like it because of the characters and how I connect it to the characters.
Yeah, well, that could be your favorite movie. It doesn't have to be... Because there's a different thing. If someone asks you what the best movie of all time is, it's like it implies that you're trying to be objective, which is not how you work. Like it's like, okay, I don't know, go to IMDb and what's the number one? That's the best movie of all time by whatever metrics.
What is the best movie of all time on IMDb?
Like Godfather or something. I don't know.
That is a good movie.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's good. Whatever. It's good. It's a little slow. First Godfather's a little slow.
It is a very slow movie.
Yeah. But no, I mean, if someone asks you what your favorite movie is, it's a different thing. Like, I don't think Half Baked is a great movie at all, but it's my favorite movie. One of my favorite movies.
I don't know. I think I'm going to rewatch The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Maybe not like today or tomorrow. Maybe like next month. But I will definitely do it soon-ish.
I should watch it for the first time because I've never seen it. So I'll watch it and then you'll watch it again and we'll report back.
Okay. I like this approach.
Home games. Walter Mitty Minute.
You ready to close this thing out?
Yeah.
Alright, so I have one rapid fire question for you.
Okay.
What percentage of your floor do you think you walk on per month?
Ooh, this is a good question. So you say my floor, you mean the entire square footage of my whole apartment?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say 25%.
25%?
Because
you step on.
I walk in these very, and it's like I mentioned before the podcast, but Synovia has a thing for tables. So we have kind of like space, but everything that a person can't walk through has stuff in it, which for better or for worse, that's the way it is. So there's kind of a defined walking path in the apartment, and I only walk to like 3 different places, back and forth most of the time. So, like, when do I ever stand in the corner of my closet? Besides my once a month when I do that, just because. But
when you get put in a timeout corner,
yeah, which actually is often. But yeah, like the rest of my floor, I'm never standing on. Like, there's a bed here that takes up like half of the room, and I'm never gonna step on that underneath it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good point. I also think I'm only at like 25-30%. Like, I really don't think I walk on that much floor.
Yeah, you don't go into like the bug room often or the other,
No.
So.
Well, I talked to my mom about this, and she said I should probably go into the bug room at least occasionally. I should go into the bug room at least occasionally.
Just to make sure that no one's like living in there?
Yeah. Well, no one, but nothing has moved in. Like, and just make sure like it's okay.
Sure. Yeah. No wildlife in your home. You don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want wildlife in my house. The other day, I actually saw a javelina between me and the mailbox, and I had to just wait it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Synovia has that problem too, like around her parents' house. And one time I remember there was like a pack of them. It was like 4 or 5 javelinas just walking around the neighborhood. And Synovia's brother just like, I guess, was used to it and wasn't at all like scared about it. So he just got in his car, and it was like late at night. He just got in his car and drove around at them, honking his horn until they left. I was like, oh my god, okay, that's how you deal with javelina. Just try to run them over and honk at them.
Yeah, do that in your car though, because I think javelina like willing to fight you if you're person to person. All right, you ready to close this one out?
Sure, yeah.
All right, thanks everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening. Home Games IO on Twitter. And if you have any feedback about how this is edited, contact Yazeed about that. Not me.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.